Welcome back to Readability. If you didn't know already, this is a kid podcast that's all about reading. Don't know a good book to read? Visit Readability and I'll help you out. Every Saturday, I'll either read, review, or recommend different books just for you. Lay back and listen to this week's episode. Let's get started. Hello and welcome to the 40th episode of Readability. Do you like the new intro? I made it a while ago, but I was planning to use it for a special occasion, which I think today's a pretty special occasion. So for now on, that will be our new official intro. I hope you like it. This is so cool. We've been on this journey for 40 weeks now, if you think about it, and that is crazy. For now on, reviews will be laid out a little differently, so tune in next week to see my new setup. This podcast has had its ups and downs for me, but for the 40th episode, I wanted to somewhat rank my episodes I've made without using every single one. So I will be telling you all my favorite episodes I've made and why. Spoiler alert, most will not be the ones I made when I first started because they aren't that good. Some of them will be, not many, but some, because they're just actually pretty good, if that makes sense. Alrighty guys, let's get started. 10. Episode number 3, How the Grinch Stole Christmas Read Aloud. This episode went really well. Analytics-wise, is it my absolute favorite? No, not exactly. But because this went so well in my podcast, I think it would be nice to add this to this ranking. This episode is basically a read aloud of How the Grinch Stole Christmas by Dr. Seuss. Fun fact, did you know that Dr. Seuss is actually pronounced Dr. Seuss? It's a fun fact I found somewhere. It was my very first read aloud, which makes sense because it's my 3rd episode, but whatever. You can definitely check it out if you like, but keep listening because there are some other episodes that I'm much more proud of. 9. Episode number 30, Thoughts on the Lightning Thief movie. Ah yes, this episode. The reason I ranked it so low was because I feel like the episode could have been executed much more formally, but here's the thing, I loved making this episode. It was the most fun episode I've written. I ramble a lot about the things I don't enjoy, and when I had the chance to rage about this horrible movie, I was having so much fun. I rate this up here because I know that this was a journey to write, and I still very much agree with the points I made in the episode. 8. Episode number 8, The Lightning Thief by Rick Riordan Review. No, this wasn't intentional. I didn't mean to make the 2 Percy Jackson-themed episodes back-to-back, and also ranking it number 8, I somewhat just realized that. Anyways, this episode is near and dear to my heart because, number 1, I'm starting to review my all-time favorite series, Percy Jackson and the Olympians. And number 2, I think this episode was really good, or decent. Of course, if I loved it that much, I would have ranked it a little higher, but I feel like this is a fitting place to put this review. Side note, I'm not ranking these based on the book I'm reviewing, but the quality of the review itself. 7. Episode 29, How to Make Reading a Habit. This is basically the sequel to episode 28, How to Get Into Reading, and I actually really liked it. Maybe I should do more advice-themed episodes, but let's get back to this episode. In my opinion, this wasn't as good as How to Get Into Reading. Why? I feel like I repeated multiple tips, and it wasn't as unique as I was hoping for. Thankfully, I still really liked how this episode was made and the quality of it. I listened to it recently, and I wasn't that bored, which hopefully is a good thing. I also thought that I should probably listen to my own advice. 6. Episode number 28. How to get into reading. I did it again, didn't I? 2 episodes back to back that are very similar. I had my reasons, like I said in the previous rank. This episode was really well done in my opinion. It's another tips episode, and I think it's pretty helpful for the most part. Of course, if you listen to this episode, I highly recommend listening to How to Make Reading a Habit because it pairs along with this. As you can tell from the title, this episode is me talking about how to get into reading, from using audiobooks, joining an extracurricular activity using books. The next episode after that, the one I said that pairs with it, really ties the 2 episodes together. So I really enjoyed this pairing of episodes, and I think they fit together really well. 5. Episode number 7. The Light Jar by Lisa Thompson review. We're going back in time now. Episode 7. When I finished this episode, I was really proud of it. Overall, I loved the book. And because of that, I was able to make a very well-made review, which makes sense. When I really like a book, I make a review I really like. This episode was formatted amazingly, in my opinion. Okay, maybe not the best, but I think it was really well done. And I gave good explanations. The sound quality, my pronunciation was okay. I've never really been good at pronunciations. I take weird shortcuts with my words. It happens a lot. It's getting better now. Anyways, I really like this episode, and I think it's one that should be a great listen. 4. Episode number 23. The Sea of Monsters by Rick Riordan plus a special guest, along with episode number 38, The Last Olympian review by Rick Riordan, plus a special guest. This was a long titled read. Sorry about that. Quick note, if you notice a slight audio quality change, don't worry, that's normal. I just changed the position of where my microphone is, so hopefully it sounds better and a little louder. I don't know. I paired these 2 special guest episodes together because I just loved making them so much. I called up my close friend and we wrote out the script. And it was so much collaborating with 2 of my close friends in each of the episodes. And we even made an inside joke in the making of one of them. Like, it was just so much fun. And I think the episodes overall came out really nice. 3. Episode 14. Review on The Bad Beginning by Lemony Snicket. Were you expecting this episode? Probably not. This is the start of a series of unfortunate series on this podcast. I have written that so many times that when I start writing a series, my phone, it does that fill-in thing, and it says, of unfortunate events series because I write it so often. Which, yes, I'm going to try and finish, and hopefully bring a friend of mine who has read the books. Ooh, spoiler, not really. This episode was actually kind of great. I know some people, maybe most people, will say that this isn't so good, but I really liked how I wrote things and how I described characters, and I think it was really fun to write. It was a fun episode, and I was mostly basing it off the Netflix series, but oh well, I still really like this episode. 2. Honorable mentions. Okay, I don't think this is allowed, but I had no idea what to put for number 2. There are so many episodes that I enjoyed but didn't love, so it was tricky to find one to fit the number 2 spot. Instead, I'll have some honorable mentions to fill it in. Please don't get angry at me, it was a tough decision. Episode number 1, Welcome to Readability. Episode 27, Escape from Mr. Lemoncello's Library by Chris Grabstein. Episode 26, The Titan's Curse review by Rick Riordan. Episode number 31, Thoughts on the Sea of Monsters movie. Episode number 36, review on the Hunger Games by Suzanne Collins. And many, many more, but those are my top 5 honorable mentions. And finally, number 1, episode number 12, tips to finding a great book. Finally, we hit the number 1 spot, and it was this episode. I don't know if anybody could guess that, but I can't tell you how proud I was after publishing this episode. I think the tips were very well done. The layout was very simple, yet it made sense, and I think I did my very best in this episode. I think the reason why I went all out was because I've never done something like this before at the time. I've never done an episode where I have tips to give my viewers instead of just giving a plain old review on a book. I did some research and that was exciting. Not much, but enough. This is the first episode I would recommend to any new listeners because I think it was one of my best. But yes, this is all my personal opinion. Episode 40, I think, is a great one, and I hope you enjoyed it. If you're looking for an actual good readability episode to listen to, this list is a great start. Remember, I post around every Saturday, and I hope you stay tuned. Have a great day, and here is our new official readability ending. That's a wrap. Thank you for joining me, Ashley, on this episode of Readability. If you sticked around till the end, I just wanted to say, do what you love, and you're a great person. If you'd like, stay tuned for next Saturday with a new Readability episode. I'm so grateful for you listening, and I'll see you next time. Keep reading, folks. Bye-bye.